Welcome to the Marketing Impact Podcast with your host, Mike Wood from Legalmorning.com, providing tips and the latest trends in the world of marketing.
And welcome to the Marketing Impact Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Wood from Legalmorning.com. And today we're going to talk about broken windows, broken business. I have a special guest with me today, Michael Levine, one of the world's leading PR professionals, and we'll bring Michael on here in just a minute. We're referring to broken windows, broken business. Basically what we're talking about is little things within your business that can make or break you, signs that show your business is weak or in trouble, things that are going to turn people away and make them shop with your competitors instead of you. Now, Michael Levine, let me get into Michael Levine for a minute. I could actually dedicate an entire podcast to his resume here, but let me just give you some statistics, and I'm sure he'll correct me if I'm wrong because these numbers continuously go up, but he has represented 58 Academy Award winners, 34 Grammy Award winners, 43 New York Times bestsellers. His client list is huge. Some of the most that come to my mind would be George Carlin, Barbra Streisand, and Michael Jackson. He was also in the documentary by Morgan Spurlock, The Greatest Movie Ever Sold, and he has written a ton of books on media, marketing, business. One of the foremost would be Guerrilla PR, which is being used by colleges across the country and being taught in courses by private consultants, basically how to get your name out there without spending a lot of money. So with that, Michael Levine, how are you doing today?
I'm just fine. I'm honored to be with you. I love this podcast format.
Oh, thank you very much, Michael, and I appreciate you coming on. I know you're very busy, but I wanted to have you on. I read this book, and it was great. It was great. So, broken windows, real fast, for those who aren't aware of the terminology, it's actually a criminal justice term which deals with blight. Basically, if you see a broken window, you need to fix it right away. If there's one broken window, it leads to a second broken window and a third broken window. You can put it with graffiti as well. You see a piece of graffiti, you need to clean it up the next day. If you don't, there's going to be 2, 3. Next thing you know, the whole neighborhood will be covered with graffiti. Now, I was lucky, Michael. I actually worked in law enforcement for 10 years. And when I was with Benton Harbor Police Department in Michigan, we actually adopted the Rudolph Giuliani method of broken windows, broken business, or actually broken windows, which was cleaning up the streets on low-order crimes. You know, you see somebody loitering on a street corner, you're thinking, well, that's not a big crime, but those are the people we arrested, because if people aren't loitering on a street corner, they're not there committing crime. They're also not there being victims of a crime, which happened a lot. And we actually went 10 months without a homicide when the year before there were 30-plus homicides. So it's a good theory. Now, how does this apply to business, Michael?
Well, first of all, it's a real privilege to talk to you about this because of your background in law enforcement. That is unique. I talked to thousands of people about broken windows. I've been interviewed hundreds of times. But what's unique about our conversation is that I'm actually talking to somebody who's been on the streets and knows how the real world works. And not some theoretical sense of it, but the real world. So, what I did, the broken windows theory was created in August of 1982 by UCLA professor named James Q. Wilson, who is now dead. And James Q. Wilson created a theory that was used by the great mayor of New York City, former mayor of New York City, Rudy Giuliani, to restore a city that was worse than Chicago is today, and that's pretty bad, to sanity and great health. And Rudy Giuliani used this theory called broken windows theory, which you already elaborated on. What I did 10 years ago was I took the theory, the criminology theory of broken windows, and I dragged it to business. And I said, in exactly the same way that broken windows theory affects a civilization or society, policing or social matters, the broken windows theory can be dragged into business and it will work exactly the same way. So what I did is I took it and I said, if you go on an airplane, if a consumer goes on an airplane and pulls that coffee tray down and there is a spot left unclean, what it does is it sends a psychic signal to your brain that perhaps the maintenance of the engines is not being done very well. Okay? Same thing with a bathroom in a restaurant. You walk into a restaurant. You go into the bathroom. The bathroom is filthy. It sends a psychic signal to your brain that perhaps the kitchen isn't as clean as it could or should be. Right? So that is, in essence, what I did. I took the theory, the criminology theory, and I dragged it into business, and it worked identically. And the reason it works identically, and that's part of what my contribution to the conversation is because we human beings have a logical part of our brain and an emotional part of our brain. Every person listening to this podcast right now has a brain that is divided by a logical side and an emotional side. And these two sides of the brain are having an emotional arm wrestle going on all the bloody time. And so every consumer is walking around a street or driving in a car has an emotional part of their brain, a logical part of the brain. That is an arm wrestle going on all the bloody time. And what I posited in Broken Windows, Broken Business is that the emotional part of the brain wins that debate or arm wrestle about 80% of the time. That's kind of interesting. The emotional part of the brain wins that debate about 80% of the time. Except when a human is hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. When a human being is hungry, angry, lonely, or tired, then the emotional part of the brain vanquishes 100 times out of 100. And since Americans are increasingly hungry, angry, lonely, or tired, the emotional part of the brain is driving a vast amount of consumer decisions. It's driving a vast amount of romantic decisions, personal decisions, but consumer decisions. Does that make any sense to you?
No, absolutely, and I'm glad you brought that up. When you speak of restrooms, anyone out there listening with kids is going to relate to this very, very easily. When you're out and about at the mall shopping, and your kid tugs on your sleeve and says, "Mama, Dad, I need to go potty," the first thing in your mind is which bathroom I'm going to use. Not where is the closest bathroom. You actually have a strategic map in your brain of where all the restrooms are within a 1-block radius, and you scout which one is the cleanest, because you're going to have to go in there with them. You're going to have to walk in there. Is it going to be dirty? Is it going to be filthy? And, back in Indiana, when I'm at the mall, there's plenty of bathrooms. There's Macy's, there's the mall bathroom, there's JCPenney's and Starbucks. When my kid tugged on my sleeve, and I'm in California now, so I have a few more options, but it was, okay, which one of these 4 bathrooms am I going to use? And in my mind, it's Macy's. Not because I like Macy's, it's because that was the cleanest out of those 4 bathrooms. So, yeah, you get an emotional type feeling about where to go. And it's not related necessarily to their business, but, I'm not going to go to that Starbucks bathroom because it is very filthy, very dirty, and it looks like they never clean it. And as such, in my mind, I'm thinking, maybe the coffee isn't that great as well. So, yeah.
Well, a lot of what you're saying is, you said it very beautifully, and I agree with it very passionately, but a lot of this has a subconscious element to it. In other words, we don't even know what we're thinking. We're walking around, we have 100 thoughts going on in our mind at any one time. We're doing 20 things at once. We're talking to friends. We're texting. We're drinking energy drinks. We're combing our kids' hair. We're listening to talk radio. We have 100 things going on at any one time. So a lot of these feelings that you're discussing so articulately are subconscious in nature. We don't even know why it is that we're feeling something we're feeling.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Now we talked about the bathroom and the cup rest. Give us some examples of other broken windows.
Well, first of all, I said in the book, and I think it's very important to recognize that the worst broken windows are invariably broken people. Okay? It's people who make decisions. Too many American corporations have been thinking for far too long in the short term. Everyone, unfortunately, in our civilization has adopted a kind of shortcut mentality. How do we make as much money as humanly possible by working as little as humanly possible? That, unfortunately, has become the American ethos over the last 30 years. This is a bad and dangerous mindset, which is why so many American corporations are having trouble internationally. When they view it against a lot of the international competition, it's why we have no manufacturing left in this country. So we have to adopt, if we don't adopt a long-term strategy, we don't adopt an understanding that the worst broken windows are broken people. That's number one. Whoever is managing that Starbucks, right, who has the responsibility of keeping those bathrooms clean in whatever city you were in, that's the broken window. It's not the broken bathroom. It's the broken manager and the broken regional manager and the broken district manager.
Absolutely.
Likely this year we'll get a bonus or a raise or an increase for having icky bathrooms. So there we are, and that's the biggest broken windows are broken people.
Okay, got it. Now for those listening too, I want to let you know that there is there's something free we're giving away at the end of the broadcast, and it's not just a book. So stay tuned, and I'm going to tell you how to get that item, what it is, and what is going to be special about it. But give me an example of a big corporation or some big examples that people may relate to of broken windows, how they happen in business, and how they were able to correct it.
Well, let me mention that in the book, which I wrote 10 years ago, Broken Windows, Broken Business, I was very, very tough on the McDonald's Corporation. In fact, my book, when it was reviewed, and it was very well reviewed by the New York Times, Psychology Today, the Harvard Business Review, one of the criticisms of my book at the time, though it was very well reviewed, very positively reviewed, was, Mr. Levine's right, he's brilliant, he's interesting, he's imaginative, but he's a little tough on McDonald's. Well, guess what? No, I wasn't. I was exactly right about McDonald's because I knew that McDonald's 10 years ago had descended from what was once a very enjoyable hamburger restaurant that middle-class Americans would enjoy into basically a place where people go who can't afford anything but. And the way they had basically abandoned their original core principles, I knew would catch up with them. And so it did. 30% of every McDonald's franchise today, right? Unthinkable 10 years ago. 30% of every McDonald's franchise in America today is either in bankruptcy or considering bankruptcy. Okay?
And it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse as well. I'm glad you brought that up as well.
McDonald's is considered today basically a place that you only go to if you can't afford anything else. So, 10 years ago, I said McDonald's is on a disastrous course. I was told at the time that I was a little too harsh. I was told I was a little too harsh. Guess what? History says, no, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. He was right. Now, the good news is that McDonald's is now starting, after a decade of pain, to make some changes. It's going to take you don't correct a 10-year problem in 10 hours or 10 weeks. They've got a long walk up a steep hill, and I don't know if they're going to be able to do it, and I certainly wish them well. But the Broken Windows theory was right, and, I said in the book, if Ray Kroc, the founder of McDonald's, walked into an average McDonald's today, right, if he's dead, but if he were resurrected and he walked into a McDonald's today, I think he would kill himself by suicide. He would vomit and then kill himself.
Now, a lot of this is a lot of franchisees saw the same things that you wrote about in the book, and a lot of them are revolting against the corporation now, which is where it's at now.
Where were they 10 years ago?
Correct.
10 years ago.
Correct.
And any jackass can look at something today when it's obvious, but that's what Broken Windows, and Broken Windows is for all business owners. It's for all, It's all people, but it's for all business owners. If you don't pay attention to the details, history has not been kind to businesses who, over a period of time, insult their customers. And McDonald's decided years ago that we're McDonald's. We can insult our customers. Well, really? How'd that work out?
Yeah, exactly. I prefer In-N-Out, not to not to bash McDonald's. But,
by the way, I'll tell you this, my dear friend. There is no one but the president of McDonald's, if given a choice, would rather eat it In-N-Out.
Yes.
Of course. What, are you kidding me?
If you're looking at the people, the way they treat you, the way things are when you're just in the drive-through, it's night and day. So
when you walk into a McDonald's, you feel like you're in a car wash in a bad neighborhood, and when you walk in In-N-Out, you feel like you're in a fast food restaurant serving hamburgers.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, well, it's a great book, Michael. It was a great read, and you're right. It's for anything from small businesses, if you're just starting a business or getting ready to, or if you run a Fortune 500 company. I would recommend this book to CEOs, people that have read other books on customer service or business, anything. This is for everybody in the world of business. Now, also, yes, we are giving away a free copy of the book, but I'm going to throw a little something special in that. I'm going to have one personally autographed. Mr. Levine has agreed to do a personal autograph for somebody. And in order to be eligible for that, just go to legalmorning.com/Levine, Levine, legalmorning.com/Levine, and there will be all the sign-up forms for you. So you'll get a free copy of the book, which will be autographed by Michael Levine. Now, if you don't want to wait to see if you get a free copy, and I don't recommend that you do because the book is too powerful to let sit there, you can go to brokenwindowsbook.com. Now, that is a book singular. It's brokenwindowsbook.com, and I also have that on the one sheet of the podcast, so you can go to legalmorning.com, click on the podcast tab, and you'll get it. Or, even easier, you can email me and just say, hey, Mike, where do I get that book by Michael Levine? And I will shoot you back an email with all the links that you're going to need. Now, for Mr. Levine himself, he has a website. It's called MichaelLevineMedia.com. MichaelLevineMedia.com, MichaelLevine Media.com. Now, if you need PR services, I would recommend checking out Mr. Levine. One of my favorite, Michael, was, I told my parents, I talk to them a lot, yes I do, and said, hey, I'm having Michael Levine on my podcast. And they're like, who's Michael Levine? And I said, you remember when Michael Jackson was sleeping in a hyperbaric chamber? They're like, yeah. I go, that's Mr. Levine. So Mr. Levine has handled some very, very, very tough PR cases. And all his books that I've read, and there's 20 plus, so I'm still getting through them, have been very, very inspirational. So thank you very much, Michael, for being on today. Hope to have you again sometime soon, maybe.
Thank you, Mike. It's a real honor. I really enjoy the passionate nature of podcasts, and yours in particular. You're doing a great job. And we need to return our thinking to the common sense that, the reason that I find you so able and so smart in certain aspects of business and other areas is because of your law enforcement, reality-based logic. When you're talking at Stanford or Harvard or Yale, you can come up with all kinds of crazy theories, and you are found to be intriguing, right? But on the street, if you're a cab driver or a police officer in the real world, you can't do that crap. That's ridiculous. That doesn't work in real life. Only
Correct.
in the idiotic chambers of elite universities. So that's what I like about you, the real-based logic.
Well, I appreciate the kind words, Michael. Maybe I'm going to have to look you up for some PR now.
Okay, great. We'll talk to you soon.
Much. Okay, great. Now, thank you again for listening to Marketing Impact with Mike Wood. Until next time.
Thanks for listening to the Marketing Impact Podcast. For a copy of the information from this podcast, please go to Legalmorning.com and click the podcast tab. Until next time.